Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
There are moments in an off-season when the biggest stories do not arrive with flashing lights or dramatic headlines, but instead slip quietly through the side door, carrying consequences that only reveal themselves months later. This is exactly where the Toronto Blue Jays find themselves right now. While much of the league has been distracted by blockbuster contracts and bidding wars, Toronto has continued to move with a steady, deliberate rhythm that suggests a front office very aware of its destination. The roster is being shaped carefully, almost patiently, and if you listen closely enough, you can hear the logic clicking into place. Here on the Blue Jays report, we know that these are the moments that often matter most, even if they don't immediately command the spotlight. As the bullpen market thinned rapidly and familiar elite names disappeared from the board, the Blue Jays faced a choice that says a lot about how this organization now thinks. They could chase what was left, inflate contracts, and gamble on volatility, or they could adjust course, read the market honestly, and find value where others were no longer looking. Toronto chose the latter. It is a decision rooted not in fear, but in discipline, and it has led to a move that may seem modest on the surface but fits neatly into a broader plan that is coming into sharper focus with every passing week. The trade itself arrived quietly on a Friday, almost deliberately understated. The Blue Jays acquired right-hand pitcher Chase Lee from the Detroit Tigers in exchange for pitching prospect Jonah Simon. No dramatic press conference, no breathless reaction cycle, just a clean transaction that reflects the current posture of the front office. Toronto is not hunting noise right now. It is hunting balance. And in that context, this deal makes more sense the longer you sit with it. Chase Lee arrives in Toronto at 27 years old, fresh from his first full season at the major league level. His 2025 campaign with Detroit was, by any honest measure, a year of education. He appeared in 30 games, logged just over 37 innings, posted a 4.10 ERA, struck out 32 batters, and issued only 9 walks. Those numbers won't cause anyone to spill their coffee, but they tell a more interesting story beneath the surface. Control, composure, and an ability to survive the grind of a major league season are not small achievements for a pitcher still learning where he fits. Lee's rookie year was exactly that, a rookie year. There were moments when the league tested him, moments when more experienced hitters forced him to adjust, and moments when the margin for error felt brutally thin. But he endured it. He absorbed the pace, the pressure, and the repetition that separates the minors from the majors. For the Blue Jays, that context is critical. They are not acquiring a raw "I'm hoping to figure it out on the fly." They are acquiring a pitcher who has already felt the league's resistance and come through it standing. From Toronto's perspective, that experience changes the conversation entirely. Lee enters the 2026 picture not as a question mark, but as a candidate. He will arrive knowing the demands of big league hitters, the rhythm of a long season, and the mental resilience required to pitch when fatigue creeps in. That matters in a bullpen that is still being shaped, refined, and balanced. It is about readiness, not reputation. On the other side of the trade, Jonah Simon heads to Detroit after a developmental season that saw him move through 3 levels of the minor leagues. At 24 years old, Simon logged 71 innings across Single A, High A, and Double A, finishing with a respectable 3.42 ERA. It was a year defined by adjustment and evaluation, a pitcher still being tested rather than deployed. Including him in this deal sends a clear signal about Toronto's priorities in this phase of the offseason. This is not a dismissal of Simon's potential, but it is an acknowledgement of timing. The Blue Jays are not in a place where medium-term projects take precedence over immediate major league depth. By moving Simon, the front office has made its stance clear. The focus is on strengthening the big league roster now, even if that means parting with a prospect whose impact, if it comes, would arrive further down the road. It is a pragmatic trade, and pragmatism has quietly become a defining trait of this organization. Behind this decision sits the reality of the reliever market itself. With top-tier bullpen arms either signing massive deals or committing elsewhere, Toronto recognized the risk of chasing diminishing returns. Long, expensive contracts for relievers can age quickly, and the front office has shown a clear reluctance to compromise flexibility for short-term comfort. Instead, the strategy shifted toward targeted acquisitions, controllable arms, and competition rather than guarantees. Canadian media reaction reflected that understanding. The move was widely described as low risk, sensible, and aligned with the club's recent approach. Among fans, the response was measured. There was no outrage, no blind celebration, just a cautious curiosity about how Lee might fit and what role he could ultimately carve out. That reaction itself says something important. Jays Nation is beginning to recognize the pattern. This team is being built deliberately, piece by piece, rather than assembled through splash alone. In practical terms, Chase Lee's arrival increases internal competition, and competition is currency in a bullpen. He does not arrive with the weight of being a closer or a late-inning savior. He arrives as an option, a flexible arm who can be deployed where needed, who can absorb innings, protect leads, or steady games that threaten to drift. For a coaching staff, that versatility is invaluable over the course of a long season. This move also needs to be viewed alongside the broader pitching picture. With the rotation already strengthened by the return of Shane Bieber and the additions of Dylan Cease and Cody Pons, the front office has clearly prioritized creating stability at the foundation. Now, the bullpen is being fine-tuned around that core, not with dramatic swings, but with adjustments designed to support what is already in place. It is roster construction that values cohesion over chaos. For Chase Lee himself, this trade represents opportunity in its purest form. He steps into a competitive environment with clear ambitions, a fan base that cares deeply, and a coaching staff known for maximizing pitching potential. Every appearance will matter. Every inning will be a chance to establish trust. These are the moments where careers quietly turn, where a pitcher moves from fringe option to reliable presence simply by doing his job consistently. For fans, this trade invites a familiar off-season reflection. Not every move needs to excite immediately to matter eventually. Baseball history is filled with names that arrived quietly and left loudly, not through fame, but through reliability. The question now is whether Chase Lee can become one of those names in Toronto, a player whose value is felt more than it is advertised. In many ways, this trade captures the essence of the current Blue Jays moment. Calculated decisions, an emphasis on depth, and a clear understanding of where the roster needed attention. After investing heavily in the starting rotation, the front office resisted the temptation to overspend in the bullpen and instead chose a rational, measured path. They added an arm designed to compete, to grow, and to stabilize a unit that will be tested repeatedly over the season. This move will not, on its own, change the team's ceiling. But it was never meant to. It fits into a broader philosophy that seems increasingly clear. Less focus on headlines, more focus on roles. Less obsession with names, more attention to function. And when a roster is built this way, the margin between good and great often comes down to these quieter choices. As the season edges closer, every detail matters. Depth matters. Flexibility matters. And patience matters. If you appreciate this kind of analysis and want to stay connected to every move shaping this roster, make sure to like this video, share it with fellow fans, and subscribe to the Blue Jays Report. The story of this bullpen and this team is still being written, and your voice is part of that conversation.